Welcome back to First Comes Love, Then Comes Marriage podcast. My name is Lindsey Jackson.
And I'm Aaron Jackson, her husband.
Yes. So, we are starting our series on teamwork, okay? And this episode, the first question is, what is the most important aspect of teamwork? What you think?
Okay. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit, like I like to do. One of the reasons we were talking about teamwork is because we're a relationship podcast, and we feel like the way that we get through most of the things we get through is with our teamwork, right? Because we're partners now, and we just need this teamwork dynamic in order to succeed in things that we want to do. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing the teamwork series. So I feel like the very first thing we need as to be a good team would be communication. And communication, we preach communication. All 3 seasons we preach communication. But it's that important. And it's that important that it needs to be said every time, even though it's kind of like unspoken. Of course, you're supposed to communicate with your partner, but I feel like it needs to be said, even though it's almost like a duh thing. Like, duh. Not a duh, but a duh. So, communication is key. And one of the things that I feel like we need to communicate first is our goal and our boundaries. So if I'm starting a team, say, I actually used to coach a basketball team. I used to coach 11, 12-year-olds. And so if sometimes the goal was to win the game. Sometimes the goal was to get better. But it has to be a specific goal that the whole team buys into. And with marriage, what is a successful marriage for you? What is a successful marriage for me? How does that look? How does, in parenting, how does it look to be a successful? What is a success? Or what is your goal as a parent? Is it just to make the baby? Because that could be somebody's goal. Or, I mean, sometimes that's the guy's goal, and then he runs off. It's not to be a father, it's just to make the baby. So that would be my number one. What you got?
I'm going to agree with you. Communication is the most important aspect of teamwork. To me, which is really interesting, because we've had this conversation before, I am prone to individual sports. So in college, I was on the swim team, right? It was a swim team, but it's very much an individual sport. I run my lap. I swim my lap. I do my thing. Even in relay, I have to swim my own lap, front and back, and then make it back for someone else to go. It's not really like group work, if you will. Same thing with dance. Even though I'm an ensemble, right? I'm in this ensemble, I'm at work, I kind of have to do the same steps as everybody else. I'm the only one doing it. It's me. So it's kind of funny because when we got married, you kept saying teamwork. We're a team. We're Team Jackson. We're the team. And I was like, yeah. So how do I do this team, right? I'm not an individual anymore. I am an individual, but I'm not an individual in this. We're a team. So first things first, communication. Like you said, we've said it before, we'll say it again, we'll say it all the time, but it's that vital for a team. And so when I think about communication, I think about talking to you first before I do something. So this is the first thing, but before I go off and act, I need to make sure that we're in the same accordance with what we're doing. And that's what I think about teamwork. So
yeah, being on the same page.
Yeah.
That is something that I always had a problem with, is the quote unquote check-in.
Yes.
Always.
Because it feels like you said this, what? It feels like you're on probation, or you're checking in with your parole officer.
No, my PO. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
So that is, it is something, and I think it, I talked to somebody about it, and it's like, why does a man have to, like, I had to really break it down. Like, why do the man, have to check in with her, the woman? And with Lindsey and the way that she operates, it's not even really like a check-in. It's almost like an ask permission. And because she is a heavy communicator. So it's more like ask permission. And I also have to be accepting if she says no.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
But okay, so to me, when we're talking about permission, because you're talking about like wanting to do something, right? So if something is happening, you want to do something, we're having a conversation about it, you're communicating. To me, if you present the solution as well, so specifically we're talking about if you want to go out.
Yeah, if I want to go out.
If you want to go out and I have the kids, the solution is whatever you come with a solution, then I can't say no.
You can say, I mean, that's the thing about being married. You can always say no. So, and you are a wonderful person and you do a lot, and having kids is a lot. But me communicating, it's how I communicate. And that's another thing about communication, is how I communicate to you. One of the things that we've been doing over the last couple of years, I don't think we did it in the beginning year. So we're at year 7 of our marriage. But we didn't do this really until maybe year 5.
Yeah.
We started to understand when we weren't understanding each other, and we tried to rephrase. You know what I'm saying?
Because we read this. It was something that was like, okay, you think you're communicating, right? Because you are talking. Just because you're talking doesn't mean you are effectively communicating.
Yes.
And so we're always talking to each other. This is my best friend. Of course we're talking. But am I listening, or does he hear me? These are right. So then we read somewhere that sometimes when there's misunderstandings, a tool to use in communication would be to repeat what you think the other person said. So that's one thing that we started doing around year 5. Yeah. It was like, okay, I'm saying something, and then he's saying, okay, and then, okay, I would rephrase it. I'd be like, I'm going to say it again. And he still wouldn't get it. So, okay, how do we fix this? Okay, let me say what I think you're saying to me. Let me repeat what Aaron is saying to me, and let me see if I'm hearing it correctly. And then he would be like, oh, okay, I know what you're hearing.
Yes.
And it's crazy because you think like, I'm an adult, I know how to listen.
Yeah.
But that's not it.
Yeah, I hear what I want to hear.
Yes.
And I started saying this last year. I can't tell you what you said, I can tell you what I heard.
Yes.
And because
you'd be like, well, you said to take out the trash. And I would be, no, I didn't say that.
Yeah. So that's the main thing. Communicating, and make sure, and in communication, there's always a message, right? You have to make sure that the message gets to the person correctly. And that's step 1, right? Having an open communication. One of the things that I always liked about us is the freedom to communicate. Like, not feeling put down, or not feeling scared, or not feeling some type of way. Like, I was never attacked about talking about my feelings. I was never attacked about, like the word sensitive. You're being sensitive.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. You're overly sensitive.
Yeah,
you're very emotional. You don't put those things.
Yeah, we eliminated that after like year 1. Because, I mean, how are you going to tell me how I feel? And it can be something.
We used to say that all the time.
Yeah. You cannot tell me how I feel right now.
Right.
And
I didn't do that.
Me, I
didn't do that. Okay. But.
And I joke. One thing that I learned, I cannot joke around with Lindsey, and I joke around all the time.
Mind you, we're still learning this. He just said this last week. He said something to me, and I said, what? And instantly he'll say, I can't joke around you or something. And this is not to change who you are.
No.
This is to understand each other.
The person that you're with.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I love it when he jokes. I love it when he plays. Obviously, this is one of the main things that I love about Aaron.
Yes.
So that's not it. But
no,
sometimes...
No, I can't joke about you. That's the thing. And it's so... And truthfully, the jokes, in my opinion, aren't that like harsh or hard, but she doesn't like them, and so I have to keep. And
it's not that I don't like
them.
them.
And I'm quick too.
He's very quick.
So
it's not that I don't like
out.
them. It's that I don't understand the joke. So I'm like, I was like,
you think I'm
wait,
talking about you?
Yeah,
you
like,
don't think it's
really?
a joke?
Yeah. Wait, really?
You automatically think, yeah. I know it because your face is like, why would he say that?
But
to
here's
me?
the thing: maybe you've heard this, maybe you haven't. But there's this thing that says every joke has a hint of truth. So when you're joking, I'm like, does he think that? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
so,
I can see that. But that's funny.
So either way, we're on the same page. Step 1 in teamwork is communication. Hands down, communication first.
This is the Am I Wrong segment of First Comes Love, Then Comes Marriage podcast. Back in my day, when I was a child, there was a thing called I'm on the phone. When my mom was on the phone, she was on the phone. I can't talk to her. I can't do nothing, right? That's the way I was raised. I feel like Lindsey was raised the same way because she constantly says it to my son, Action. Action likes to talk while Lindsey is on the phone. I understand that. So, I give Lindsey that same respect. And Lindsey does head our Instagram at First Comes Love TCM. She is the head of the Instagram and she is on her phone a lot. In fact, I bought her the new phone for this podcast. Like, she has the new phone, the best camera, all that stuff. So, when she is on the phone, I don't bother her. I let her rock. I see that she's on the phone. She could be on Instagram. She could be checking her messages. She could be doing anything. I let her rock. I'm not going to say every, but the majority of the time when I am on my phone, checking emails, I get work emails on my phone, checking emails. Mind you, I'm a manager of like 35 people. So, and I do their schedules and everything. Checking my emails. I might like a post on Instagram. Whatever I'm doing, checking the Clipper score, something. Whatever. Every time I'm on the phone, Lindsey has to talk to me. I don't know what it is. And she's like, why are you on the phone? Why are you on the phone? And I feel like, am I wrong? Shouldn't I get the same I'm on the phone privileges that I give her?
Okay, y'all. So to be clear, when we were growing up, we had a house phone, right? Okay, so when your mom or whomever was on the phone, she physically has a phone. No, because when you said it, I thought you was talking about a phone to your ear. No. He's just talking about a phone in his hand. And you know, nowadays, everyone, let me speak about this generation. Everyone, this generation-ish and younger, has a phone in their hand. So when I'm talking to him, he's just looking at the phone. He doesn't have a phone to his ear. So that's number one.
I'm on the phone.
He's looking at a phone.
I'm on the phone.
Okay, so
just like you be on the phone.
Should I disrupt him when he can disrupt me?
Why are you asking more questions?
No,
am I wrong? Should I get the same I'm on the phone privileges that I give her? Because I give her the same. I'm
not looking at the phone as often as he is. So let's just put that out.
Watch the new reel where I just film her on the phone all the time. Stop. How about I do that? So you can call the voicemail at 347-TRUE-LOVE. That is 347-878-5683.
Or you can DM us on Instagram, First Comes Love TCM. You can also email us at letstalk@firstcomeslovethenComesMarriage.com. Welcome back. We are still talking about teamwork, and the focus right now is communication. So let's do like an exercise, if you will.
Got it.
Okay. We're talking about communication, and how would you communicate to me that you felt like I did something wrong?
Accountability, right?
Yeah.
So, long pause. How would I communicate to you if I'm holding you accountable? I would first come to you out of love and not out of like disdain or mistrust or anything with the intention of pulling you down. The intention is, especially in teamwork, since we're a team, the intention for me is to bring us to the goal. Bring us closer to the goal.
Because one thing you always say is, we want the same thing.
We want the same thing.
He says this to me all the time, especially when we're in a disagreement. Which y'all, this works for me. So, find what works for you. But literally, I'll be like, it'll be, don't do that with action. Or why would you put this here? Or something. And it's just like, we want the same thing. And that brings me back, like, he's right. So, there we go.
Yeah. Because we do. It's like, what I've been learning about Lindsey, and if you're new to the podcast, we talk about ourselves. We don't really talk about what other people should do and stuff like that. Is because this is how we operate. Take what you want from it. If you can't pull anything, then tell us about your experience. But with us, we were raised in California, but we were raised differently and the same at the same time. We had the same kind of culture because we were both Christian. We went to the same church. But my family dynamic is different from her family dynamic. And we both like black families and everything, but we were raised differently and the same. So with that being said, certain things in our lives, we view it in a different view. I'm a man, she's a woman, just straight like that. It's a different view. So I might think that I need to take out the trash when it's full, and she might think that I need to take out the trash every night. But we both want the trash out. We don't want the house to stink and stuff like that. We want the same things. It's about how we go about it. So how would I communicate to you if I feel like you made a mistake or you did a slip up or something that was off the mark? I would talk to you and try to get an understanding what you were trying to do, because I know whatever you were trying to do, it's like, I did something wrong, but I did it for the right reasons, type of thing. And that happens a lot, right? So I wanted to understand, I would like to understand your thought process, because that's going to help me in the future. And I'm like, okay, she kind of thinks like that. And I can try to maneuver to try to help out. And then I could try to pick up, because everything's in hindsight now because you already slipped up. But right. I could be like, okay, next time, let's do this, let's do that. I can help you with this. I can help you with that. I always try to offer my help. Yes. Especially with you. You love help. You don't like asking for help, so I got to offer it all the time. You don't like to,
I'm not going to ask you.
You're not going to ask me, but I have to offer. Like, how can I help you? How can I help you? And sometimes when I don't offer and you mess up, you still not going to ask for help. You're just going to try to write it out. So that's what I would just do it in love, do it in a sense of understanding that I know it wasn't malicious intent. When it comes to you, I know it wasn't malicious intent. If it was malicious, then that's a whole nother, like, we need to have a heart to heart. We need to sit down and get to the root of why you're doing things to self-sabotage type thing. But those are two different things, and I don't think you like that. So that's how I would do. At first, I would like, let's solve the problem first. Whatever you mixed up, try to fix that. And then try to understand what happened so it doesn't happen again. But I want to come down on you like your action or shine, right. Our sons. Yeah. So that was my exercise. You can ask that to your partner. How do you communicate? I want to know, for you, how do you agree on the same goal? Like, how do you agree on the same goal? If you want something, the other person wants something, do you compromise, or do you try to hit both? I was just about to use that word.
No, it's good, because the funny thing is we asked the question, like, what are the 3 C's? Remember that a while ago in marriage?
Like communication.
Yeah, communication, compromise, and commitment. And we asked...
Cunnilingus.
Yes, you said cunnilingus. You said cunnilingus. It was an Instagram thing. Other people said... I can't remember, I have to go back, but there are a lot of C's that people brought up, and I was like, whoa, okay. And one of the big ones is compromise, because the reality is no one thinks the same thing as you. It's the exact same thing all the time. Some people, obviously you have more in common with some people, but like, there is no way we're going to think the exact same thing. And so there's this quote that I love. It's don't expect what you don't communicate. And I started speaking up for it.
Say that again, please.
Don't expect what you don't communicate. And this is a lesson for ladies, because I say ladies this because specifically growing up, you know, we see a lot of rom-coms, or it's marketed for women that men are supposed to know. They're supposed to figure it out. They're supposed to get it. They're supposed to work hard. And what's the thing when you chase me, and all of the things that you buy into as a woman. And then you don't communicate because you think he's supposed to know. And then you think, well, why doesn't he know? And then you think, well, he doesn't love me. And you can go down that rabbit hole. But
I know you have.
because I'm like that too. But now, no more. I communicate to my friends, to my siblings, to my mom, to people, the things that especially the things that I want for me, because I can control me. The things that I would preferably like for my husband, the things that I want for my kids. I think about them first because I want to speak in love, but I have to communicate them because I want to be clear and I don't want no problems. So that's number one. But wait, would you ask me again? Okay, but going back to teamwork, the reason why we brought this up too, and the reason why we're dressed like this, is because Aaron thought, we're wearing our t-shirts. Aaron said, you know, teamwork is like a uniform. And let's go back. I like us to dress alike. I will buy a lot of matchy clothes. And Aaron's like, I don't mind because it reminds me of being on the same team. And we're Team Jackson. And so it's like, well, why not? It's just a representation of us. Oh, that's what I was saying. Compromise.
Yeah.
Circling back around to compromise. Sometimes when we are not on the same accord, we communicate and we're still not on the same accord. We want the same thing, so we might have to compromise. I'm gonna just go with that, where you're gonna have to compromise. Sometimes you have to give a little more than you get, but you know, you're in this for the long haul, so it's not gonna be like that all the time. You just have to realize, like, okay, this is what's gonna help us get to the goal. If I do this, if we do this. Prime example, I was raised in a very, very clean house. No? Can I talk about it? Can I just talk about it? And so when we first got married, it was a discussion on who would clean, who would clean the bathroom, who would do the dishes, who would do.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the bathroom discussion?
No, we're good. Yeah, because this is a real conversation. I mean, because there's so many things that happen when you're roommates with each other.
She had to clean the bathroom with a toothbrush going up. Because
I was raised in a military house.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. This is what I'm talking about. We are alike. As much as we're alike, we're different. So this is a conversation on how we're going to keep things clean. I work 6 days a week. He works 5 days a week. We're busy people, but we still have to do this. So how do we communicate that? Who has to compromise? These are the questions that we ask ourselves. And so our first year of marriage, we had many conversations about it. And I will say that I ended up compromising. Yeah. I ended up compromising on the level of cleanliness that maybe I like. And we're a clean household, but you know what? This is how it has to be with us. This is the way that maybe I would do most of the cleaning. And also, somebody else told me, you know, you pick and you choose your battles, but if there's something that you want that maybe your partner doesn't want, and you're trying to fight to get him to understand that, but it's not working out, just do it. Like, at the end of the day, instead of the argument, I'm gonna just clean. And that's not gonna hurt anybody. If anything, it's going to help because there's peace. and I can do it. So I took that away from that communication.
Yeah. Cool. That's good. That was really good. I was gonna talk about the bathroom situation, but it's fine.
What were you gonna say?
Because I compromised too.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's not like she was solo dolo. Yes, following back is something that you said about being clear, being making sure that I'm not a mind reader type of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm I only talk specifically about you and your experience because I'm with you all the time. People, it seems to me that people are not used to a Black woman being clear and deliberate and explaining herself. My wife, I won't say Black woman, it seems like it is foreign when my wife is very clear. It's like, oh, she's being a witch, or she got an attitude because she wants it this way and this way only. And it took time for me to adjust to understand that no, she's not being mean. She's not being malicious. She's just saying what she wants. Something that I take for granted and I do all the time. I could say whatever I want to say. I could do whatever I want to do. But when Lindsey started to do it, it was almost like, whoa, like, what do you mean? Do you want me to do this? What do you, and in marriage, we talk about tone, but there's a difference between tone and just being clear. And so I feel like you don't need to sugarcoat things that are important, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I was smoking and drinking or doing like things that were super detrimental to my health, I don't need Lindsey to sugarcoat that. That's not her being having a tonality problem, telling me, hey, you need to stop this, you're gonna die, you're killing yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not you being mean, that's you being clear. And I just wanted to mention that because it was something that I had to see inside myself and how I received your adjustment and your growth, because you were communicating exactly what you want, and it helped our marriage.
Yeah.
But that growth I saw your growth, but I wasn't receiving it at first, and then I had to receive it, because at first I was like, oh, she just, she bucking back, or, whatever it is. And so I just want to encourage other women who are like Lindsey that it's not your problem, it's theirs. And you could be clear, you could be decisive, and if somebody doesn't accept that, that's on them, and that's their problem. That's all I want to say.
Thanks, babe. Thank y'all for joining us on our second episode of season 3, talking about teamwork, specifically communication. And speaking of communication, we want you to communicate with us. So hit us up on First Comes Love TCM on Instagram. You can also email us at letstalk@firstcomeslove, thenComesMarriage.com. See you next Friday.